Ladies and gentlemen, for the foundations of the world were laid before the first breath of humanity was drawn, before the stars were scattered across the heavens. There was a plan, not an accident, not a coincidence, a divine, intentional, and unshakable plan. You were never meant to struggle for purpose. You were never designed to live in confusion, uncertainty, or fear. You were created with precision, crafted with vision, and planted in time with an assignment. You are not here by chance. The one who formed the universe had a blueprint, and at the center of it was mankind, positioned to rule, to govern, and to manifest heaven on earth. But hear me clearly, this plan was never about religion. It was never about rituals or man-made traditions. The Creator's intent was not to build temples of brick and stone, but to make man his living temple. His desire was never to rule over slaves, but to reign through sons and daughters. His original plan was dominion, not oppression, authority, not servitude, partnership, not separation. When he formed man from the dust and breathed into him, he was not creating a subject, he was establishing a king. He was releasing his own nature into humanity, entrusting man with the responsibility to govern the earth as he governs the heavens. The first gift he gave mankind was not a rule book, it was a kingdom. Let them have dominion, he declared. That was the mandate, the mission, and the master plan. But something happened. Man lost sight of the assignment. He abandoned purpose for pleasure, traded dominion for deception, and exchanged identity for independence. In seeking to be his own God, he lost access to the source. And when you lose the source, you lose life itself. But let me remind you, what God starts, he finishes. His plans are unshakable. His intentions are reversible. What he purposed before time cannot be undone by time. The fall of man was not the failure of God's plan. It was a detour, not a dead end. And so the Creator set in motion the greatest restoration project in history. Not to bring a religion, but to restore a kingdom. Not to establish a church, but to reestablish his government. Not to get man into heaven, but to bring heaven back into man. And now I ask you, why are you here? Why were you placed in this generation? Why were you given the gifts, talents, and vision inside of you? Because the original plan has not changed. The same mandate that was spoken in Genesis echoes into eternity. Let them have dominion. It is your assignment. It is your purpose. It is your inheritance. You are not created to survive. You were created to reign. You were not designed to beg. You were designed to lead. You were not placed on this earth to exist. You were sent to make a difference. So rise up. Align yourself with the original blueprint. Take back your identity. Walk in your authority. Manifest your purpose. Because the King is waiting for his kingdom to be revealed through you. God's plan for mankind was intentional and not accidental. Humanity was created with a purpose, designed with precision and positioned to rule and manifest heaven on earth. Man was created for dominion, not religion. God's original intent was not rituals or traditions, but for mankind to be his living temple, governing the earth as he governs the heavens. Authority was the first gift to mankind. God declared, let them have dominion, giving humans the responsibility to rule and manage the earth, not to live in subjugation or fear. The fall of man was a detour, not the end. Though humanity lost its dominion through disobedience, God's plan remained unchanged, leading to a divine restoration project to bring his kingdom back into man. God's purpose is still in effect today. The original mandate of dominion and leadership remains, calling each person to step into their God-given authority and fulfill their assignment. You were created to reign, not merely survive. Every person carries a divine purpose and must embrace their identity, walk in authority, and manifest God's kingdom on earth. Before the world existed, before time itself began, there was a plan. Not a random event, not an afterthought, but an intentional, well-structured divine plan. Everything in creation was carefully designed with a purpose, and at the center of this grand vision was mankind. Humanity was not a mistake, not a product of chance, but the very expression of God's will. When God decided to create man, he did so with precision. He spoke the world into existence, commanding light to shine, waters to separate, and land to emerge. He filled the earth with plants, animals, and the beauty of creation. But when it came to man, he did not simply speak. He formed. He took time, shaped man from the dust, and breathed into him the breath of life. That alone sets mankind apart from everything else in creation. No other creature carries the breath of God. No other being was given his image and likeness. That tells us something profound. Humanity was created with a divine purpose in mind. This purpose was not ordinary. It was not to merely exist, to struggle, or to wander through life without direction. Man was designed to function as God's representative on earth. He was given authority, responsibility, and dominion over creation. That was the original intent. The Creator did not place man in the world to be a slave, to suffer, or to be ruled by circumstances. He was placed here to lead, to govern, and to establish divine order in the physical realm. Understanding this truth is critical because many people live as though they are accidents, as though their existence lacks meaning. Society has conditioned individuals to believe they are just products of biology, subject to fate, struggling to find significance. But God's original plan says otherwise. Every individual was created with intention. Every person carries a divine assignment. No one is insignificant. No one was born without reason. You were placed in this generation at this time in history for a specific purpose. Think about it. When a great architect designs a building, he does not randomly place bricks together and hope it turns into something meaningful. He starts with a blueprint, a vision, a detailed plan. Everything is structured with precision so that the final product serves its intended function. In the same way, God, the greatest architect, designed humanity with a master plan. He created each person with unique gifts, talents, and abilities to fulfill a specific role in his divine kingdom. The tragedy is that many people live outside of this design. They settle for a life that is far beneath their intended purpose. They live in fear, insecurity, and uncertainty, not realizing that they were never meant to struggle for significance. The Creator has already assigned them value. Their worth is not determined by their circumstances, their background, or their failures. It is determined by the one who made them. The key to rediscovering this purpose is to go back to the source. Just as a product's function is best understood by consulting its manufacturer, mankind's true purpose can only be understood by returning to the Creator. God's plan has never changed. His intention has never been altered. What he designed from the beginning remains the same. Humanity was created to be a reflection of him, to rule with wisdom, to walk in authority, and to establish his kingdom on earth. You are not here by accident. You were formed with precision. Your life is part of a divine strategy. And until you embrace that truth, you will never fully step into your purpose. The question is, will you align yourself with God's original plan or continue living beneath your potential? The choice is yours. ChatGPT said, from the very beginning, God's plan for humanity was never about religion. It was never about rituals, ceremonies, or traditions created by man. His original intent was for mankind to walk in relationship with him, to function as his representatives on earth, and to exercise dominion over creation. Religion came as a result of man's fall, an attempt to reach God through systems, laws, and practices. But God's intention was never for man to seek him through religion. It was for man to live in direct communion with him, ruling as a king on earth while staying connected to the King of heaven. When God created man, he did not give him a religion. He gave him authority. He placed Adam in the Garden of Eden and gave him dominion over the earth. Adam did not build a temple, establish a religious system, or follow rituals. He walked with God. He communicated directly with his Creator, ruling the earth as God's ambassador. He named the animals, managed the garden, and carried out his assignment without any religious practice. This was God's original plan. Relationship, not religion. Rulership, not rituals. The problem began when man lost his position. When Adam and Eve disobeyed God, they lost their dominion, and with that loss came separation. This separation created a void in humanity, and in an attempt to fill that void, man began to create religions, systems of rules and traditions designed to reconnect with God. But no matter how many laws, sacrifices, or ceremonies were introduced, religion could never restore what was lost. Man was never created for religion. He was created for a kingdom. A kingdom operates differently from a religion. In a religion, people follow a set of rules to gain favor with God. They work, strive, and perform in hopes of being accepted. But in a kingdom, the citizens do not work for approval. They are born into privilege. When a child is born into a royal family, they do not beg to be accepted. They are heirs by birthright. In the same way, God's original design was for man to function as his royal children, not as religious subjects trying to earn his favor. Understanding this truth is the key to walking in authority. Many people live in bondage to religion, believing they must follow a set of rituals to be worthy of God's presence. But God's plan was never about rituals. It was about restoration. The goal was never to get man into heaven, but to bring heaven back into man. That is why Jesus spoke more about the kingdom of God than any religious practice. He came to restore what Adam lost, to reintroduce mankind to their original identity as rulers on earth. He did not come to establish a religion. He came to restore a kingdom. This changes everything. It means you do not have to live under the burden of religious expectations. You do not have to strive to be accepted by God. You were created to walk in authority, to govern your environment, and to represent heaven on earth. The laws of religion cannot give you that authority. Only alignment with God's kingdom can. The question is, are you living according to God's original design, or are you trapped in man-made systems? Are you walking in your rightful authority, or are you struggling under the weight of religious obligations? It is time to return to the original blueprint. It is time to step into the reality of the kingdom. You are not created for religion. You are created for rulership. You are not designed to be a servant of systems. You were born to be a son and daughter of the King. Align yourself with this truth, and you will begin to walk in the power, authority, and dominion that was always meant to be yours. When God created mankind, the very first thing he gave was not a rule, a law, or even a religious instruction. It was dominion. He said, let them have dominion over the earth. That was his first gift, his first decree, and his original intention for humanity. This means that before man even took his first breath, God had already declared his authority. Dominion is not a religious term, it is a governmental one. It means to rule, to govern, to manage, and to lead. This was mankind's original assignment, to extend the rule of heaven to earth, to be stewards over creation, and to establish divine order in the natural realm. Man was not created to be a slave, a beggar, or a victim of circumstances. He was designed to be a ruler, an ambassador, or representative of God's authority on earth. The gift of dominion means that everything man needed to fulfill his purpose was already given to him at creation. God did not place Adam on the earth helpless and powerless. He equipped him with wisdom, intelligence, creativity, and the ability to subdue the environment. Adam did not have to struggle to survive. He was created to thrive. He named the animals, cultivated the garden, and walked in authority over all living things. That was his natural state. However, many people today do not walk in this reality. Instead of ruling their environment, they are ruled by it. Instead of exercising authority, they live in fear and uncertainty. They struggle, beg, and fight for survival, not realizing that they were never meant to live that way. This is because dominion was lost when mankind fell into disobedience. When Adam and Eve chose to listen to the voice of deception instead of the voice of their Creator, they forfeited their authority. They handed over their dominion to another power, and from that moment, man began to live beneath his potential. But here is the good news. What God gives, he does not take back. His plans do not change, and his gifts are irrevocable. Although man lost dominion, God already had a plan for restoration. He was not interested in giving mankind a religion to follow. He was interested in restoring his original government. That is why throughout history, God has always sought to reestablish his kingdom on earth. Not through religious systems, but through individuals who understand their divine assignment. When Jesus came, he did not come to introduce a new religion. He came to restore dominion. He preached one message consistently: the kingdom of God is at hand. He healed the sick, calmed storms, cast out demons, and exercised authority over nature, not to show off power, but to demonstrate what mankind was always meant to do. He came to show us what true dominion looks like. And when he declared on the cross, "It is finished," he was not talking about religion. He was talking about restoration. The authority that was lost had been reclaimed, and now it is available to everyone who understands their kingdom identity. The question is, are you living in dominion, or are you still operating in survival mode? Are you ruling your circumstances, or are you allowing circumstances to rule you? The time has come to take back what was originally given to you. The time has come to reject a mindset of weakness and embrace the authority that was always yours. God's first gift to mankind was dominion. It was not a temporary privilege. It was an eternal assignment. You were not created to be controlled by fear, poverty, sickness, or failure. You were created to walk in power, to lead with wisdom, and to manifest the kingdom of heaven on earth. Step into your purpose, reclaim your authority, and walk in the dominion that was always meant to be yours. When God created mankind, his plan was clear. His purpose was unshakable, and his intentions were eternal. He designed man to rule, to have dominion, and to walk in perfect fellowship with him. But something happened, something that caused a detour in this divine blueprint. Man lost sight of his assignment. He abandoned his position, and as a result, the authority given to him was lost. The fall of man was not just about eating a forbidden fruit. It was about the loss of dominion. When Adam and Eve disobeyed God, they did not just break a rule, they broke a relationship. They severed their connection with the source of their power, and in doing so, they handed over their dominion to another force. The authority they once had over creation was now controlled by deception, and the order they were meant to establish on earth was replaced by chaos. But hear this truth: the fall of man was not the failure of God's plan. The Creator is never taken by surprise, and his purposes can never be stopped. What God originally intended, he still intends. The fall was a detour, not a dead end. It was an interruption, not an irreversible failure. And because of that, God immediately set in motion the greatest restoration project in history. Not to bring a new religion, but to restore a lost kingdom. Throughout the Bible, we see this restoration plan unfold. God chose men and women to reintroduce his kingdom principles to the earth. Abraham, Moses, David, the prophets. These individuals were not called to build religious systems. They were called to reestablish divine governance. Every covenant God made was not about religion. It was about reclaiming territory, restoring authority, and preparing the way for the full return of his kingdom. Then at the right time, the king himself stepped into the world. Jesus did not come to establish a new religion. He came to restore what Adam lost. That is why he did not preach rituals. He preached the kingdom. He did not come to introduce more religious laws. He came to reintroduce the authority of heaven on earth. His miracles were not just acts of compassion. They were demonstrations of dominion. When he healed the sick, calmed the storm, walked on water, and cast out demons, he was showing what mankind was always meant to do. He was revealing the level of authority that had been lost, but was now being restored. And when he went to the cross, he was not just paying for sin, he was reclaiming dominion. He took back what the enemy had stolen. And when he declared it is finished, he was not referring to the end of a religious practice. He was announcing the completion of the restoration plan. The kingdom was now accessible again. The authority that Adam lost had been regained. Now the question is, are you still living as if the fall is permanent, or are you stepping into the restored dominion that has been made available to you? Many people still live under the weight of sin, fear, and limitation, as if they are still separated from their original purpose. But the truth is, the price has already been paid. The authority has already been reclaimed. The kingdom has already been restored. The only thing left is for you to step into it. What Adam lost, Jesus restored. What was broken has been repaired. What seemed like a dead end was only a detour. God's plan has not changed. His mandate still stands. Let them have dominion. You were created to reign, to lead, and to bring heaven's reality into the earth. Do not live beneath your calling. The restoration is complete. Now it is time for you to walk in it. God's plan for humanity was never temporary. His original purpose was not an experiment, nor was it a trial run. What he declared in the beginning, let them have dominion, still stands today. Though mankind lost that dominion through disobedience, God's purpose has not changed. His original intent remains, and his kingdom mandate is still in effect. The question is, are you walking in that purpose, or have you settled for less? Many people live as though God's plan is outdated or unattainable. They believe that dominion was for Adam, for Abraham, for David, or for Jesus alone, but not for them. They have been conditioned to think that they are powerless, that they must simply survive, follow religious routines, and wait for heaven. But God's kingdom is not a future event. It is a present reality. Jesus did not come to introduce a temporary solution. He came to restore an eternal assignment. That means the same dominion that was given in the beginning is still available to you today. When Jesus walked the earth, he did not come as a religious leader. He came as a king, restoring a kingdom. Every word he spoke, every miracle he performed, and every lesson he taught was about reintroducing the authority that mankind was always meant to walk in. He did not tell his followers to wait for heaven. He told them to establish heaven on earth. That is why he taught them to pray, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That prayer was not just words, it was a divine declaration of mankind's ongoing purpose. The kingdom mandate has never changed, and God is still looking for people who will align with his original plan. He is not looking for religious people who simply follow rules. He is looking for kingdom-minded individuals who will walk in authority. He is looking for those who will step into their divine assignment, govern their environment, and bring transformation wherever they go. This means that your life has a purpose beyond survival. You were not created just to exist, just to pay bills, just to struggle through life waiting for eternity. You were designed for impact. You were created to bring influence, to lead, to innovate, to rule over the systems of this world, and to reflect the glory of God in everything you do. The tragedy is that many people live far beneath their potential because they do not understand who they are. They have accepted limitations that God never placed on them. They have allowed circumstances to dictate their identity rather than walking in the truth of their divine assignment. But hear this, you were created for dominion. You were born with the DNA of a ruler. You were designed to manage, to expand, and to establish order in the world around you. This is why Jesus said, you are the light of the world. Light is not passive, it takes over darkness. That means you were created to bring solutions, to influence culture, to lead in your field, and to represent the kingdom wherever you go. Whether in business, education, government, media, or any other area, you are meant to bring heaven's authority into that space. So the question is, are you walking in the purpose that still stands today? Or have you been deceived into believing that dominion was only for a select few? God's plan for mankind has not changed, and that includes you. The same power, the same authority, and the same assignment that was given in the beginning is still in effect today. It is time to rise, to step into your calling, and to walk in the dominion that has always been yours. The final and most powerful revelation of God's original plan for mankind is this: His kingdom is meant to be manifested through you. God never intended for His kingdom to be something distant, something that only exists in the heavens, or something we wait for after death. His plan was always for His kingdom to be visible, tangible, and fully expressed on the earth through His people. When God created mankind, He gave them dominion, meaning He entrusted them with the responsibility of establishing His will on earth. That was never meant to be a temporary role or a passive existence. It was an active assignment. That assignment did not end with Adam, and it did not end with Jesus' time on earth. It continues today through everyone who aligns with God's kingdom purpose. Jesus confirmed this when He taught His disciples to pray, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That statement was not just a religious phrase, it was a mandate, it was a declaration that heaven's realities should be seen, felt, and experienced on earth. But how does this happen? It happens through you. Many people live with the mindset that God's work is only for religious leaders, preachers, or missionaries. They believe that the kingdom is something that exists only inside churches. But the kingdom of God is not confined to a building. It is meant to be established in every part of society, in business, government, education, media, science, technology, the arts, and every sphere of influence. The kingdom of God is a governing system, not a religious institution. That means wherever you go, you are a kingdom ambassador, a carrier of God's will and a representative of His rule. Jesus demonstrated this reality everywhere He went. He brought solutions where there were problems. He brought healing where there was sickness. He brought restoration where there was brokenness. He brought truth where there was deception. Everywhere He stepped, He manifested the kingdom. And then He turned to His disciples and gave them the same assignment. He told them, as the Father has sent me, so I am sending you. In other words, the work is not finished. The kingdom must continue to expand, and it must expand through you. This means that your life is not ordinary. Your presence in the world is not accidental. You are placed in your family, your job, your community, and your generation for a reason: to manifest the kingdom. Every skill, talent, and opportunity you have is not just for personal success. It is a tool for kingdom influence. Wherever you are meant to bring God's order, wisdom, and righteousness into that space. But many people fail to walk in this assignment because they think they are not qualified. They look at their flaws, their past mistakes, or their lack of resources, and believe they're not capable of doing great things for God's kingdom. But here's the truth. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. He has already placed everything you need inside of you. The authority, the wisdom, the creativity, and the power to manifest the kingdom are already within you. You do not need to wait for permission from the world. You have already been sent by the King. So the question is, are you making an impact in your generation? The kingdom is not coming through another system. It is coming through people who understand their divine assignment, and that includes you. God's original plan has never changed. Heaven is waiting for you to rise up and take your place as a kingdom ambassador. The world is waiting to see the manifestation of the sons and daughters of God. The time is now. Step into your purpose. Manifest the kingdom. This is what you were born for. Everything God planned from the beginning still stands. His original intent for mankind has never changed, never weakened, and never been canceled. From the moment he said, let them have dominion, he established your purpose, your authority, and your destiny. You were created to rule, to lead, to bring heaven's order into the earth, and to manifest the kingdom in every area of life. Though mankind lost dominion through disobedience, God never abandoned his plan. He set in motion a divine restoration, one that was fulfilled through Jesus Christ. When Jesus declared it is finished, he was announcing the full recovery of everything that had been lost. The dominion Adam forfeited was restored. The authority that had been surrendered was reclaimed. And the original assignment was placed back into the hands of those who would receive it. Now, the responsibility is yours. Will you live beneath your potential, or will you step into the dominion that has been restored? Will you continue to see yourself as powerless, or will you walk in the authority that was always meant to be yours? The time for waiting is over. The time for small thinking is over. The time for limitation is over. The kingdom of God is here, and you are called to manifest it. Your life is not an accident. You were sent to this generation for a reason. Everything you need to fulfill your assignment is already within you. The Spirit of God is in you. The authority of heaven is upon you. And the world is waiting for you to rise. So walk in dominion. Rule with wisdom. Lead with righteousness. Transform your environment. Manifest the kingdom. Because this is what you were born for.